Hello, my name is Dr. Brian Hart, and I'm the CEO of xyLOGIX LLC, providing custom software solutions. Today, we're going to get an introduction to the Serenity application framework. First, just some quick disclaimers before we begin. Dr. Brian Hart and xyLOGIX LLC are in no way affiliated with or benefiting monetarily from this video tutorial or any other tutorial. This video tutorial is produced strictly for the benefit of everyone who watches it. I'm not trying to plagiarize anybody, but I'm just trying to put existing documentation that's already out there in a more useful medium, because I like this framework and I think it's pretty cool, so that it can be accessible by more people. Descriptions that are shown in text on the various slides of this presentation are more or less hand copied and pasted directly from the excellent Git book already written by Volkan Ceylan, the creator of Serenity. And Volkan, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. However, I'm doing the best I can to guess. Why am I making this presentation? There are some YouTube videos on doing Serenity already out there. However, none of them have sound, which is kind of, I don't know, makes it kind of dull to just sit there and look at something. They also kind of go pretty fast. No criticism on Volkan, because he probably made those videos. However, I thought I would just break things down for you guys by actually talking during the video and making sure to do slow, careful demos and kind of break the information up into more bite-sized chunks. So, the narration of this video comes pretty much from directly reading the text of the Git book posted by Volkan Ceylan, creator of the Serenity application framework, on the web at this link here. And by the way, I have a copy of this presentation downloadable from the link in the description. So if links kind of fly by, don't worry, we're going to get you covered by making sure you have access to a copy of these slides. All other portions of this video are copyright 2018 by xyLOGIX LLC, and all rights are reserved. Okay, so let's get started on what the Serenity platform is, and the purple thing there is the Serenity logo. And I just want to make a mention, attribution, that that logo is copyright Volkan Ceylan, the creator of the framework. I'm just borrowing it here to help us kind of associate this particular framework with what its logo is. Serenity is a C# and ASP.NET MVC and TypeScript-based application framework or platform. By the way, it also works on ASP.NET Core. Serenity leverages the power of existing open source technologies. Aims of Serenity platform are fourfold, at least according to Volkan. It's to reduce time spent on repetitive web development tasks, make development easier, reduce maintenance costs by avoiding boilerplate code, also all while applying the best software design practices. Serenity's features can be useful for many different web application types. However, its primary niche is for line of business, or LOB, web applications. LOB web applications, okay, they're applications with many data entry forms or the administrative interfaces of otherwise public-facing websites. Okay, so let's delve a little bit more into just what an LOB web application really is. So according to Dragos Manolescu, and forgive me Dragos, okay, if I'm mispronouncing your name, but I'm trying my hardest here. So according to Dragos over at Microsoft, all LOB web applications share the following traits in common. LOB web applications are highly interactive and therefore are pretty self-explanatory. In such a web application, there typically are many screens, and there is a high degree of interactivity between the user and each screen. Typically, Several screens are involved in a user's interaction with an LOB web application. Moreover, LOB web applications are domain specific, okay? So, right, you're going to maybe have an LOB web application being used by the guys behind the counter at the car repair shop, okay? And that's going to be very specific to fixing cars and trucks, okay? With all the parts from the suppliers and all the makes and models of the cars and looking up customers in the database and looking up work orders and so forth, right? Or they could be used by enterprise stakeholders in, say, the financial industry or healthcare or e-commerce. LOB web applications provide online transaction processing rather than analytic processing. For example, what do I mean by analytic processing as opposed to online transaction processing? Okay, so for example, right, an LOB web application is more consumer facing, right, as those are on those online banking websites, right, from wellsfargo.com or bankofamerica.com, you know, where you put in your information and it gives you access to your checking and savings accounts online. Those are online transaction processing websites. Okay. Analytic processing websites, when I think of that term, I think of Wikipedia, right? You're looking up an article on cats, you know, and here's the whole history and biology of cats. And, or you're looking up news, okay, for example, going to CNN.com or Fox News website, right? So those are more analytic processing websites, web applications. They're really not line of business, okay, you know. So that's, in my mind, the difference. LOB web applications pretty much have simple user interfaces, you know, with containing checkboxes, text boxes, buttons, and so forth. LOB web applications also use API integrations to integrate with other systems that manage the data and execute the transactions. For example, they might integrate with databases. They might integrate with systems of record, okay? Or say, you know, you have your other accounting website over here and you have your project management website over here. Maybe your company might write an LOB web application to utilize those third-party websites' API integrations to then tie everything together behind some kind of common, you know, set of screens, such that you're not always delving into, you know, having to go, you know, do a little thing in the project management website over here, and then, oh, I have to make sure and update the accounting website, and oh, that now necessitates updating the project management website once again. You know, you kind of want to maybe integrate both of those into just one set of screens that your employees have to work with, and then the automations behind those screens take care of the rest. And other ones. Okay, so let's delve just a little bit, tiny bit more. Let's summarize what an LOB web application really is. Basically, it's used primarily internal to a company, okay, by the company's various stakeholders to track data and perform operations that drive the company's success. For example, the following types of applications generally fit within this category. Okay, for example, cash register point of sale systems, POS, right? So when you're buying something from the store and the person behind the counter is, you know, scanning your items and bringing up the total and processing your payment. Okay, customer relationship management or CRM systems. Enterprise resource planning, ERP systems. And of course there's also healthcare systems and e-commerce storefronts, right? So for example, the screen your doctor uses, you know, you ever been in the exam room getting a checkup and your doctor then waves their little badge at the computer to sign on and then brings up your chart and puts your prescription information in to be sent over to the pharmacy, okay, right? Or e-commerce storefronts, right? So for allowing users to purchase products online. You got to list the products in the inventory, you got to make them appealing, you got to give the user choices, process the user's payment, do shipping and invoicing, all that stuff. So, lots of stuff here, and Serenity really delivers an easy way to do rapid application development around these needs. It's primarily aimed at enabling developers familiar with the Microsoft ASP.NET framework like I said, to rapidly develop and deploy these LOB web applications. Analogous frameworks from other languages include the Django framework from Python. Now again, doing LOB applications is not only what Django is good for, but it's one of its many uses. Vaadin framework in Java, although Vaadin tends to be more heavy on the reporting side, per se. However, it does have functionality to support line of business, I believe. And what other frameworks are out there? Where to look for information. Okay, so after going through these videos and tutorials, you can learn more about Serenity at the following places. And oh, by the way, I've copied and pasted these links, particularly from Volkan's wonderful, wonderful documentation, over into the description underneath this video. So here are the links. And as you can see, there's a home page, and the blog, and the Github Repository. Very important, right? Github Repository. And by the way, Serenity is available through Visual Studio as an extension. Okay, and we'll look at more about that in the installation video. Okay, also, you know, there's a space for raising issues or questions. There's also Wiki with frequently asked questions, troubleshooting, and other community content. There's a changelog, and the Serenity application template itself is available over on the Visual Studio Marketplace. It's for free, but it's available over there, and that makes it available also through the extensions and updates menu item on the Tools menu of Visual Studio. You're going to want to get the .vsix, I think it is, package from the Marketplace. If you have multiple versions of Visual Studio on your machine, it's really doubtful that you'll want to copy and paste things all over the place, you know, or rerun the extension from each of your Visual Studios. If you get the .vsix integration package from the Marketplace directly and then apply it to your computer by just double-clicking it, then it will detect what versions of Visual Studio are installed on your computer, which are compatible with Serenity's functionality, and will just go ahead and apply the extension to all applicable Visual Studio versions on your computer. So it's kind of slicker that way. So what's in the name? Well, as stated by Volkan in his wonderful Git book, the Serenity Development Guide, the word, quote, Serenity, quote, has dictionary meanings of peace, comfort, calmness. You know, we've all heard of the word serenity before. So the creators of the framework are trying to achieve this with Serenity. The hope is that after installing it and using it, you will feel this way too. I mean, after all, how many of us have done web applications, especially with ASP.NET, and it feels like, oh my gosh, the customer wants all this functionality, and what, I mean, I have to roll it myself. And oh, by the way, I don't have the code for my previous project, which I already did all this stuff, so now I have to do it all again from memory. You know, again, why bother with all that stuff when you can use a framework? I mean, it's just so easy, so intuitive. Okay, so Serenity has a lot of features, and I'm not going to go bore you by reading them, by sounding like Ben Stein here and reading them in a droning fashion. Okay, if you want to go and look at the whole feature list again, you can go to the Git book that I referenced in the beginning of this presentation, okay? However, for the time being, let me just point out some of the things that I think about are really the key features from this list. Okay, so as a modular service-based web application model, it's very important. You want modularity, basically, so we can have good code reuse. One of the things I also like about this is there's a lot of T4 support for code generation based upon basically the objects that you define, say in your database or whatever. Okay, so you're not always regenerating everything by hand. And I really like how it enables you to prepare the UI on the server side with just a simple C# class, because you can decorate it with basically aspects or attributes. The data binding support is awesome, but I also love the configuration system, which is storage medium agnostic, right? So you can have your configuration in a database, in a file, whatnot, what have you. And there's logging. There's also a Fluent SQL builder for CRUD. It's tied in with all the latest and greatest content versioning and minification and script bundling tools, as well as it has ORM, built-in ORM. It's integrated with Dapper. But not only that, you can also do REST API integrations, create REST API integrations with this framework. And it supplies excellent support for UI localization into different languages. Some of the other key features that I really like here are data localization as well. So you can even localize data entered by users, okay, such as lookup tables. There's client and server-side validation, okay, and audit logging, as well as support for dynamic scripts, which I especially like. So that's it for this video here. There's also a section on the Git book, which I encourage you to read on the background of Serenity. However, it's just Volkan telling you what spurred him on to writing the system. Basically, he had a job, okay, where he was asked to pretty much write a CMS or content management system for someone, okay, and well, he didn't want to roll it all over again after he'd written what he had written for them, so he turned it into a framework. You know, I see many when he talks about it being a content management system, I see many similarities actually between this system and WordPress. I really do. However, there are also important divergences from WordPress as well, so it's not 100% correspondence. So in that sense, I suppose you could call this a content management system framework, but it's really more general than that. It's a line of business system framework. So one thing I do want to point out from the background section in Volkan's book, however, is that when you start a new project, he says, you have several decisions to make on the platform, the architecture, and the setup library. There are so many choices for every single topic, okay. So having some options is good as long as they are limited, okay, as our time is not infinite, as he says. So anyway, I just think it's really awesome that there's this thing out here for the Microsoft.NET framework, and that it's freely available, and that it's open source, and it's up on GitHub and everything like that. It just really puts these other frameworks and people to shame who want to charge you $1,000, $1,800 to license their, fancy ASP.NET boilerplate framework, when here we already have some awesome, thing from Volkan. And as you'll see, it's really feature complete. So I'm excited to bring to you even more videos, okay, in this series. And I hope that you'll contact me with any questions, although I'm not sure if I'm really correct in saying that, because do I really want to be deluged with emails from the community? Sure, what the heck, okay. However, I want to just tell you guys that back in those links there is a spot to raise issues and questions directly with Volkan over GitHub and other people that are maintaining the code. And my suggestion would be, instead of asking me a question, you might want to check out the issues and questions page over on GitHub first as a starting point, because that's a great forum for getting your questions addressed. And then of course there's also Stack Overflow as well. So, and if you're just really, really stuck, or you want to throw me some kudos, hey, yes, I'll put my email address, or one of my many email IDs, down in the description, okay. And actually not my email address, but I'm going to put my company's website, okay, down there in the description for you guys. And, they have a contact us page on the website. And go ahead and, throw me a note over that website there. But, like I said, I strongly encourage you to Google search and to try and really figure out the answer to your question before asking me, just to, be the most time effective. If someone else has already answered your question somewhere else online, well, then save yourself the time of going to me, right? Then, do some self-help. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you like the rest of the videos in this series.